sleeve, okay? A perfect sleeve that will match the armhole that you are using, okay? I have different way to cut a perfect sleeve. I have different way to cut a perfect sleeve. So let us start from this one, okay? So the armhole depth that I use for this basic body is 9 inches. And how I take get the armhole depth? Bust 44 divide by 6 plus 1.5. Okay, so approximate everything to be 9 inches. So the 9 inches is what I use for the armhole depth here. So if you want to cut your sleeve, any armhole, any inches that you add, whether it's a sewing allowance, whether it's a is allowance, you're going to use all of them to put into consideration, okay, for you to know how to cut a perfect sleeve. That if you are fixing the sleeve, sorry for the disturb, for the noise. So if you are fixing the sleeve, everything will match very well. So this place is the sewing allowance for the shoulder, okay? So now the things that we need: the armhole depth. Any armhole depth that you are using, that you use to draft, whether you draft directly from your fabric or from pattern, any armhole depth that you use, always add 0.5 to it if you want to draft your sleeve, okay, your basic sleeve. If you want to draft your basic sleeve, this method that I'm showing you, when you are sewing it, everything will match correctly. It will not be too long, it will not be short, okay? So then the armhole depth that I use here is 9 inches. 9 inches plus 0.5, okay, it become 9.5. 9.5 for this pattern. Now I add 1 inch for ease allowance and 2 inches for sewing allowance. For example, say you did not add any ease allowance, okay, you add sewing allowance. Any sewing allowance that you add, okay, when you measure my bust circumference now, e give me from here, e give me 11 inches. So that is this point. So from there now, say you do not add any sewing allowance at all. You just create that pattern, you want to use that pattern. So what do? You need to do from here now. This place is my bust, okay? For example, now say I not add any sewing allowance for this pattern, okay? From here now is just my bust circumference divide by 4, okay? If you want to create pattern from this thing that you don't add any ease, you don't add any allowance, only what you need for here now is the armhole depth plus 0.5 or 0.75, okay? But this pattern now is what you will just use to draft the basic sleeve, okay? Only that one you use. But now I add 3 inches for here, which means 1 inch for ease, 2 inch for sewing allowance, okay? So everything that I have that I add to my bust measurement now is 3 inches. If your own is 1 inch, if it is 0.5 you use, if now 1.5 you use, so any one that you use, you will need it, okay? So that is that. Then you need to fold your fabric. For example, it's fabric that you are using. Now I'm using a basic what did I call it? I'm using newspaper, okay? So you fold it. Let's assume that you are cutting from your fabric directly. So you fold it. So when you fold it like this, so this side that is facing me is fold. Then you mark 1 inch first, okay? You mark 1 inch for starting point here. You mark 1 inch for you to get a straight line. You can mark 1 inch or 0.5, which is half an inch, okay? So then you take your ruler, You take your ruler, you mark it out, okay? You mark it out. So this thing that I'm teaching us, I have practiced it a lot, in fact, many times, okay? So I used some method, it didn't work, but this almost different three type that I have, before four type, it work perfectly well, okay? It match from the handle perfectly well. Then look at it. So to get your cap height, you divide your bust, divide by 12 plus 0.5, you will get your cap height. Another way to get your cap height also is any ham hole depth that you use, you can also divide it by 2. You use half of it. For here now, for example, I use 9 inches for the ham hole depth. So 9 inches divided by 2, it will give me 4.5. Okay, so you can also use that method for the cap height, but this method that I want to use for this one first is bus divide by 12 plus 0.5, so it will land me in this place, which is 4.25. So you mark it, okay? You mark it like this. So if you want to know the quantity of fabric you need, if you want cut for your fabric direct, so that you will not waste your fabric, you can also, if you add the armhole depth plus 0.5 plus any allowance that you add to it, you add extra 1 inch to it to use it to fold your fabric, okay? So now for this method that you want to do, look at it. My armhole depth is 9 inches. 9 inches plus 0.5, that is 9.5. Okay, this is 9.5. This is 9.5. I will show you different way to do this, okay? So this one is one method. Then this is my armhole depth, 9 inches plus 0.5. So after you have marked it, so I add 3 inches to my bust measurement, which is the east allowance and the sewing allowance, and I add everything I add there, as you can see it here, as you can see it in this place. Okay, this is 11. From here is the where I put my bust measurement. So from here to here, I add 1 inch for east. From here again, I add 2 inches. Okay, so any allowance that you add to your bust measurement, whether it's east, anything, any number that you add here, you will add it back from this place. So this one is 9.5. So from here, I add 3 inches again for the sewing allowance and for the east allowance. So from this 9.5 now, I will connect it from here to this point here. Okay, so let us connect it. Let us connect it. We connect it like this. We connect it like this. Okay, so after you have connected like this, then remember that this fabric, this newspaper is on fold. Okay, it's on fold, as you can see. So now the fold side, now there you go, for the take your measurement, they go this way. Okay, so then you measure everything that you have here. So everything that I have here now, I have 10.3. Okay, 10.3 is what I have here. So 10.3, you divide it by 2, okay, to get the half out of it. 10.3, you mark it here. Okay, so after that, you go up from there. You go up by 0.5. Then you use your curve, your measurement, your curve, your French curve. Then you connect again. You dey see am, you connect from here, for this place, to this 0.5. You connect it like this. Okay, you connect it like this, you connect it like this. Then from here, you use a straight ruler. To connect it. So from this place to this place. Okay, then You connect it like this. You connect it with straight line for this one, okay? This is for the back, okay? This is for the back. Then for the front, again, you take the French curve again. You go again. You start from this point again, this place. So you connect it like this. You connect it like this, okay? So this one now that we are doing now is the front. Then you turn your French curve like this. You connect it again from this point to the end here. You see it. You see it. So then this place, remember that we'll add 3 inches that we'll add for the ease allowance and the bust allowance, and the sewing allowance is here. So after that, you take your sleeve length, okay? Let's assume that my sleeve length is 8. That 8, you add 0.5 to it to join for the shoulder, from the sleeve to the shoulder, okay? To sew it for sewing allowance. That means 8.5. So that 8.5 for the hemming allowance here, you can add 1 inch, you can add 2 inches, you can add 1.5. So from here I add 1.5 for hemming allowance, okay? So everything become 10 inches. So I mark it like this. I mark the 10 inches like this, okay? So I'll now use the ruler to connect it, okay? To connect it like this, to connect it like this, to connect it like this. All right? So the arm hole that you are working with, you divide it by 2. So when you divide it by 2, you place it like this. You put the allowance. The allowance for here, you can also use 1 inch, 1.5, or 2 inches also. So from here now, I'll add 1.5 to it, okay? Then you connect it. You can connect it by curving it like this. By curving it, you can also connect it straight, okay? So anyone you want to do. So from that thread that you measure from here, from there, you connect it this way, okay? So after that, let us cut and measure it and find out whether this sleeve that will cut now, whether it will match the armhole. So this is first method, okay? So let us cut it. Remember that this straight line is the armhole, the back. So this one that is curvy is the front. So let us cut it. So when you are cutting, cut like this first. After you have cut it like this, then from here you just notch small. You fold the allowance, okay? You fold the allowance for the hemming allowance. You fold it like this. Then you cut it, okay? So when you do it like this, it will match, okay? So you cut the back first. So this is the back. You cut the back curving first, okay? If you are cutting directly for your fabric, or you want to keep this pattern, if you want to use them, okay? So then you open it. When you open it like this, then you shave the front, okay? You trim the front out. Okay? You trim it. As you can see. So now, you see the way it be. So this is the back, this is the front. So let us measure it, whether it will match, as I said. Okay? So you can measure everything that you have. Where you want to measure with your tape, you can follow it like this. This is the sewing allowance. Don't do that. So from there, from here, Okay, this place is sewing allowance that I add. So from there you measure like this. You can measure it round. You measure it round like this. Okay, you measure it round like this, or you can also do like this. Okay, this is the pattern that we'll cut now, the sleeve. So we start from this point. So let us measure it, whether it will really match. Okay, let us measure it. Let us measure it. Definitely, if you do it very well, it will match. It will match correctly. Can you see? Can you see it? Can you see it? So it matches very, very well. So this one is the first method. Okay? So second method that I want to show us. So second method that I want to show us, for example, that you didn't add any allowance at all. Okay, this is where my measurements of my bust stop. Let us fold it. Okay, this place is where my bust measurements end. Let's assume that you just draft your body. You draft your pattern. You didn't add any sewing allowance to it, neither for the shoulder. Oh, let us fold it also. You fold like this, then you start it. So how to do this one also? What you need to do is, so let us just use one like this, for example. Then the armhole we use is 4.2 for the cap height. You remember, for example, this one now, if you want to draft it and just to keep it, you don't want to add any allowance. Maybe if you want to sew, any allowance that you add to your fabric is what you add to the sleeve. For the ease allowance, anything. So you connect this one line like this. So after connect it, so I use the armhole depth that I use is 9.5. 9 inches plus 0.5, that is 9.5. 9.5, we'll mark it here. We mark it here. So from there we connect it from here to here. Okay, then what you have here, divide it. Let me double cross whether it is correct. Okay, it's correct. 9 inches plus 0.5. So anything you have here, for here now, I also have the same 10.3. So you divide it. So when you divide it like this one, in case of if you want to draft the pattern and keep it, you didn't add any allowance to your body, to the pattern. Okay, maybe where you are sewing, you can add any allowance to it. So from here now, you connect again. You connect it like this way. Then from there again, you connect straight line to it. Straight, you connect it straight like this. Okay, so from there again, from the back. Okay, but this pattern I didn't fold it, but when you are doing it, make sure that you fold it. Okay, you turn the back also. You turn the back like this. You do it like this. Okay, so when you cut, so for the armhole opening, you take your sleeve measurements, length, and the sewing allowance. Okay, so then from there you just connect it. Okay, let us cut it and measure that one also, whether it will match. Okay, whether it will match. So our focus is the armhole. Is the armhole, whether it will match. Okay, because sometimes when you cut sleeve, it didn't match. Either it go long pass or it's not match. So remember, this one that I cut now, I didn't add any allowance to it. Okay, I didn't add any allowance to it. So this place I fold it, the allowance. Okay, so from here now to here is just my bust measurement. So let us measure it. So from here again, we take our measurement to measure it. We measure it. We measure it. We measure it. You will see that it will match. You see it. You see it that it match correctly. So that is that. So this is the second method. Okay, remember that when you are using this type also, you will fold your fabric. When you fold it, you will cut, you will trim the back, you will trim the back, you open it before you trim. You see that it match also before you trim the front. So that is that. So next time I will teach you the rest. Okay, God bless you. Bye for now. I'm here, but I believe this one that you learned today, it will take you far. Okay, so just practice it and let me know. Drop your if you didn't add that 0.5 or 0.75, you didn't add it, the thing when you are so short or 0.75, it will be short. Okay, God bless you. Stay blessed. Bye.